Welcome back to Winning Isn't Easy. We're going to talk about a step-by-step guide for filling out SSA 3369, and we're going to break down each section of the form. Krysti, let's talk about sections 1 and 2.
All right, section 1, information about you. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Here's where you're going to put your name, social security number, and your contact details. Now, if somebody else is filling out this form for you, their details are going to go here as well. All right, section 2, work history. This is the heart of your form. Here's where you're going to list every job you've held in the 5 years before you became unable to work. You're going to want to include job titles, the business types, and the dates you worked for each job. Some of the things that you're going to want to describe. Number 1, tasks you performed. Here's where you're going to want to be specific. For example, instead of saying something like customer service, you're going to want to describe the tasks, like you answered 50 or more calls per day. You used a computer and a headset. You entered in data into a database and handled escalations. We suggest that you take out a piece of paper and write down all of the general tasks you did from the time you arrived to the time you left. Remember, we want to get to the root of what you did in an actual day of the job. Number 2, Nancy?
Physical activity. So you want to detail how much time you spent sitting, standing, walking, stooping, crouching, and lifting. Note the amount of the weight that you lifted and how often. I want you to be honest. I want you to be realistic. And this is not the place to either exaggerate or to downplay your duties. And I will tell you, if your claim makes it in front of to an administrative law judge, the judge may be asking you clarifying questions about how you performed your job. And if your answers conflict with what you wrote down on the form, the judge is going to question your credibility. So this could make or break your case. The next part of this questionnaire wants to know about tools and equipment that you use. This could include anything from a cash register to a computer to a forklift to specialized machinery, even a basic stapler or a headset count. Tools and equipment. So as you're doing this in draft, write down the tools, write down the equipment. So if you had to tell your grandmother what tools and equipment you used, think of it that way. Think about explaining this on a basic level. All right, Krysti, how about interactions and reports and supervision?
Sure. So interactions is a very broad question, as most jobs require some type of interaction, especially with supervisors and coworkers, and particularly throughout the training or probationary period. You will want to mention whether you interacted with customers, supervisors, or team members, and how often throughout the day. For instance, don't just say yes. You want to say, yes, I spent 75% of the day interacting with my customers and my coworkers. Or maybe there's a 6-month training period where you were constantly with another coworker. That is an interaction. And so you want to make sure that you're talking about every interaction that you had to do on a day-to-day basis, including that training period. And the reports and supervisions. If you had to prepare reports or supervise others, you want to and need to explain the extent of your responsibilities with that duty. Do not leave this out. We get calls weekly from Social Security to gain an additional perspective on our clients' supervisory roles, despite us having completed the work history form. You want to make sure if you had any type of managerial or supervisory duties that you're responsible for, that you describe them in detail in order to avoid any delay by having them call and say they need clarification. Now, here comes the $1 million question.
And that $1 million question is, explain how your medical condition impacts your ability to do this particular job. Now, this question sounds simple, and yet we find that clients will sort of skate through this form and answer the question without thinking about it. That's not how we do things here at Cavey Law. We think backwards. So what on earth is this lawyer telling me to think backwards? Well, we want you to think backwards about the physical, cognitive, and psychological problems that you have and why you can't do the particular activities of your job. And we want our clients to write down a list of the symptoms and draw a line from each problem to the thing that they can't do. So let's give you an example. Let's say you're a cashier and you're claiming that you're disabled because of back and leg pain. Your back pain is constant 24/7. You have pain that radiates down your leg, and some of the problems that you could have doing your job as a cashier would be standing at a cash register for more than 10 minutes, or sitting on a stool for more than 10 minutes, or turning side to side to bag groceries, or to lift items and put them on a cart, bending over to get the grocery bags, or reaching to give them to the customer. It might be that your pain makes it really hard to concentrate and complete tasks timely, and that pain may make you irritable and hard to get along. So what you want to do is to think about this. Why? So let me give you an example. One of our clients completed a work history form just last week, and she indicated that she was a customer service representative. She said she sat 8 hours a day, she lifted less than 10 pounds, and she sat on the phone all day answering questions about Medicare. She denied using machines, tools, equipment, or using technical knowledge or doing reports. Now, look, this is common sense. I know that's wrong. I've never been a customer service representative, but I represented a lot of them. And common sense tells us that that description is wrong. So the client wears a headset. They're tethered to a computer. She can't get up and she can't move around. And she's limited to normal breaks because the computer will pick up information about the calls, when she picked up the call, when she ended the call, whether there were any transfers. It tracks her time and how she followed the script to give answers to the client's questions. She has to make a certain number of calls per hour and per day, or she's subject to discipline and termination. Her answers are monitored for accuracy, and they want to know, did you follow that script in the order in which you were supposed to deliver this script? Now, had she thought backwards about this, she should have gone about it differently, in our view. And so she should have begun with the fact that she's tethered with a headset to the computer, and how she can't get up and walk around to relieve her back pain because she's also keyboarding. She might have wanted to explain how being in a static position without being able to move side to side impacted her concentration. And of course, she has to be nice and friendly and stay on script. So she wanted to talk about the difficulty she would have doing that. And of course, she needed to describe the equipment that she used. So she's got the headset on, she's got the computer. She had to have a technical knowledge of Medicare, and she had to have a great working knowledge of customer service. So you can see that this form is really important because you want to describe the actual job duties as you did them. Think about the symptoms that you have and make this analysis. What symptom do I have that prevents me from doing this particular duty, and explain it. Think about the equipment that you needed to use and the problems that you would have using it. Think about the technical or professional duties, the customer service, dealing with the customer, preparing reports. And so you can see that all of this is really important. And the job description that she gave was wholly inadequate. Got it? Krysti, do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind that Social Security is not really going to do a lot of extra digging, right? So when they received that work history report from our client, they said, okay, customer service representative, no equipment. Well, it's incorrect. And if they would have taken the time to think about it, they would have also understood that it was incorrect, but they're not going to do that, especially at DDS at the initial and the recon stage. So that's why it's important to fully and accurately and put as much detail into these work history reports as possible, because you never want to rely on Social Security to essentially do their job. We want to do their job for them and provide the claim on a silver platter so that they don't have to do much thinking. And we say, yes, there is equipment involved. There are tools. She is tethered to a computer. She can't get up and change. That's going to get her off pace and production requirements. And you would think they would understand that, but they don't. So it's important to take the time. Hopefully you only have to fill this out once, but if not, keep a copy of it if you have to redo it. Really fill it out, because you want to make sure you get it right the first time so that Social Security doesn't have any additional questions. Because if they don't ask the questions, they're never going to know. Had Social Security, or had this woman not come to us, Social Security would have thought that her customer service representative job did not include any tools, but it did.
I want you to think about it this way. Your medical records should be telling the story of your symptoms and functionality. Your work history form should be telling the story of how you brought your unique skills and talents and performed this job based on how your employer required you to do it or how you modified it. So you are telling your story about how you performed this job. Now, section 3 is remarks. And I think this is an opportunity to provide additional information that didn't fit in section 2. We want you to use this space wisely. I want you to describe the cognitive and the social challenges related to your job. So, as the customer service representative with chronic pain, she probably had difficulty concentrating on the cognitive task of customer service, listening to the question, answering the question, and then answering it in a helpful manner without being irritated or short-tempered. So, you want to explain the cognitive duties and you want to explain the social duties. Now, also remember, you might be having side effects of medication that impact your ability to meet the job requirements. And so if your cognition is impacted because of medication, you want to address that. Same way, if the medication makes you irritable or grouchy or depressed, you want to make sure that that information is in the remarks section. And the last section is section 4. Who's completing this report? If somebody helped you, that information goes there. And if you filled it out by yourself, just mark that appropriately. Got it? Let's take a break.
Struggling with your Social Security disability case? The right attorney can make all the difference. Get our booklet, The Key to Hiring a Great Attorney for Your Social Security Disability Case. Discover how to find an experienced attorney who will fight for your rights and navigate the process with ease. Don't leave your future to chance. Request your free copy at caveylaw.com today and ensure you have the expert support you deserve.
Welcome back to Winning Isn't Easy. Let's talk about tips for success. Krysti, what are your suggestions?
All right, so now that we've given you the basics, we're going to talk about some pro tips that might strengthen your submission of your work history report. Number 1, like Nancy said, think backwards. Start with your medical condition and think about how they limit you in each aspect of your job. For example, if you're a cashier, like she said, you have chronic back pain, think about how standing, bending, lifting would be affected, the tools you're using, and how any side effects of medication may be affecting you doing that job. 2, be thorough and honest. Don't exaggerate your limitations, but don't underestimate them either. You want to describe your job as you actually performed it, not as it might be in a generic listing. Now, this is important because, as we've said in this episode and the last 2 episodes, when your forms aren't consistent, and then your forms aren't consistent with your testimony should you make it to a hearing, that shoots up red flags to the administrative law judge, and it starts to ask them, is this witness credible? And then they don't know what to believe. So make sure that you are honest, thorough, and you don't exaggerate or underestimate any of your conditions or your limitations. Section 3, we want to leverage this section. This is where we want to use this section to explain why your medical conditions make it impossible to perform any of the jobs that you've held in the last 5 years. Remember to highlight your physical, cognitive, and social challenges with each of those occupations. Number 4, avoid generic descriptions. Phrases like answered calls or heavy lifting does not tell the full story, and nobody at Social Security knows what that means. So be specific about exactly how long you can stand or sit, or the tools and techniques that you spent on each task. And number 5, get help if needed. Completing this form and any other form for Social Security can be overwhelming. So don't hesitate to ask a trusted family member or call us or any other legal assistant for assistance.
Great suggestions. Let's take a break.